And welcome back to The Watchman from TBN's Jerusalem studio. Well, Israel is a place of miracles. Jerusalem is a place of miracles, and the Western Wall, the Kotel, is absolutely a place of miracles. And one church far away in Southern California has taken notice. Influence Church in Anaheim, California has started a prayer wall, and they are having miraculous results. My good friends, Pastors Phil and Tammy Hotzenpiller, sat down with us recently to talk about how God is moving through the prayer wall at their church and how they hope it spreads to churches around the country and becomes a movement. Take a look at some of the amazing miracles that are happening at Influence Church.
If we go back to Israel in our mind for a moment, the prayer wall movement began there. We believe this is a movement. This is more than a church that has a wall. We believe that God is igniting prayer during these last days.
Part of my journey started with Mark Batterson and reading The Circle Maker. And I love the fact that he began to pray around his city. So when we birthed this church under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, we began just praying around our community. When we got the building, we began to walk through it, and there was such a sense of prayer. We anointed the doors, we anointed every part of this building. And my mind immediately went back to being in Israel. And when I was at the prayer wall in Israel and put a slip of paper, and when we had really believed God for prayer, and we knew that God wanted us to put a prayer wall in this building.
And we thought one thing that would really be exciting would be if we could leave the prayer requests in the wall. We didn't realize how fast they would accumulate, because people like to go back and revisit the spot where they put the prayer. I mean, if you move them, they know it. And so we take them out, we record them, we put them back into the wall so that people always know their prayer requests are there. So now there's somewhere around 18,000 prayer requests in this wall in 2 years.
We have so many stories of cancer that have been healed almost every week. And I'm talking stage 4, doctors saying go home and prepare yourself to say goodbye to your family. We have people now coming to this wall specifically, putting prayer requests in the wall. And as you can see at the wall, it says prayer wall, expect a miracle.
My husband and I have always wanted to have a family. Our heart was to definitely have multiple children. And so we just started trying like any other couple, normally does. And a year went by and we didn't get pregnant. And then year 2 went by and we didn't get pregnant. And we started getting obviously very scared, very fearful, and really nervous. So we started seeing doctors. When you're going through what they call unexplained infertility as a woman, it brings so much shame and I don't know if the word is embarrassment, but just shame and like, what's wrong with me? We had a women's luncheon here at the church, and when I was here that day, it was the beginning of May 7th, I said, I've got to put my prayer request in at the prayer wall, and I can't leave without doing that. That day, I wrote an extensive prayer out to the Lord, and we had also been asking, after being very quiet about our journey, we started asking everyone in our life, like Phil and Tammy, like the other pastors and friends and family in our life, to start praying for us and believing with us for a miracle. 2 weeks later, lo and behold, a miracle happened. We conceived May 19th. We had no idea, obviously. There was a little angel growing in my womb.
It really all started when I was going in for a dental cleaning, and my dentist noticed on my head a lot of these dark black, almost like a Sharpie colored spots on my head, and he said, you should probably get that checked out. She called and said, well, the biopsy has come back and it's melanoma. So we want you to get in to see our specialist right away. And we get there, and the specialist there told me, well, we do agree it's cancer, but we think it's non-surgical. We think it's stage 4B, aggressive growth, and we give you 4 months to live. I immediately called Pastor Phil and said, hey, we've got this issue going on, and I need a lot of help. He immediately prayed with me over the phone. The prayer wall had just started. It was one of the early prayers that was put on the wall. During treatment, the cancer kept shrinking, and it got to the point that of these 16 tumors, 5 of them completely disappeared. The ones that remained had shrunk to the point that they could remove them in an outpatient procedure. What they found when they removed those tumors is in every single tumor, not only was the cancer completely gone, but in its place were these hyperactivated white blood cells, which they called cancer warrior cells or immunocytes. And they had never seen such high concentrations ever in every single tumor.
One of the things we've tried to do is only tell the stories that are medically verified. That way we eliminate the skeptic from the scene. When we hear doctors say this is what happened, that's what I call a medically verified.
We had a friend that had diagnosed melanoma stage 4. So we all started getting our moles checked. I thought, well, let's take my daughter since she's so fair and has moles. So I took her to the doctor, and she has moles on her scalp, but she was 3.5 years old. Nobody would ever think these moles of anything. So the doctor examined her whole body, and then questioned some moles on her scalp. And he said, oh. When he said that, I'm like, what do you mean, oh? He goes, these look atypical. These look abnormal. And I'm like, well, what are we gonna do? He goes, we're gonna do a biopsy right now. So she had melanoma. As a mother, when they get told their daughter has cancer, it is the hardest thing in the world. So again, I came to this wall, we prayed. I prayed with the church. I waited about 2 to 3 weeks. The results came that she is cancer-free, that all the margins were clear. So we were blessed.
And I think, Eric, for the listeners who are watching your show, and most of them are Christians, we've become stale in our faith. And God's got to activate our faith. Something has to happen in these last days where we as believers are believers. We believe in the supernatural realm of a holy God in an open heaven that wants to do the supernatural. So I would ask those listening, what does God want to do in their life? What are you believing God for? Are you expecting a miracle?